Tine Anneberg. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. I have been extremely excited for this event. And we have now heard so much about culture, how it affects negotiations. We have heard about what leads to failures in negotiations, and also what leads to success in negotiations. And I have the honor of speaking on women in negotiations. And I'm happy to see that we have a lot of women in here today and also a lot of men in here. So let's get started. And first, I would love to see from you guys, how many in here are married? Just raise your hands if you are married. All right, great. Thank you. And now the next question. How many of you expect to be married in 10 years? Yeah, thank you. So the thing is, I have to tell you, some of you got it wrong, unfortunately. Some of you will not stay married to the same partner as you are right now. Because we see in Europe that a 50% divorce rate, and I checked it out, and the same goes for Lithuania. So that's bad news. And could we all agree in here, and especially those of you who are married, that marriage is a series of negotiations, right? That's what is going on. And that's also why we see such a high rate of failure in negotiations, right? That is leading to divorce. So who is actually the better negotiator? Is that men or is it women? And allow me just to catch the clicker. So raise up hands. Who in here believe that men are the better negotiator? Oh, okay, all right. Is it because it's a woman standing here that you don't dare to raise your hands? Okay, and how many in here believe that it's women? Okay. All right, let's start with some interesting statistics. I promise that I will come back to the result of this. So if we just look at the Fortune 500 companies, that's the largest companies in the US, we find in how many percentages that it's a female CEO. Is it 50%? Less? Less. 40? I can tell you that in 23, it was a historic high hit. So 30? No, it's too high, right? It's 10.6%. That's really a stark minority, right? And if I now say, let's assume that this is also presenting who is actually leading high-stake business negotiations. Many of you might be saying, yeah, well, Tine, this is not representative for who is negotiating. Also, women that are not leading one of the Fortune 500 companies are negotiating. Well, I buy into that. So if we just look at who are in senior leadership positions, we find 32.2% women. This is actually way better. Now, I didn't get totally the introduction to me, but I also do trainings. And what we find in our trainings globally is that we actually have 80% male participants. So why is that? And if we just compare these statistics, we see that women are underrepresented both in leadership positions and in negotiation trainings. So is it because that women are less good negotiators? Or is it due to historical reasons? I want to share a little story with you. Earlier this year, I was together with Kjell Jensen, you just saw on stage, lecturing on an MBA program in Denmark. And as usually, we saw 80% men in the training room. During lunch, I was sitting together with some of the women, and I got this sense maybe they are actually not leading the negotiations. So I asked them, do you actually like to negotiate? And what do you think that they answered? No, they didn't like to negotiate. And can we agree that usually we are more successful when we do something that we like to do, right? So just ask yourself, no need to raise your hands now, but ask yourself, do I actually like to negotiate myself? That's great. That's great. We have professional negotiators in here. So let's leave the story. I will come back to it in a second.